Hello, 2B, and welcome to your part of the Pick a Card reading video. So, if you're not ready, you need to take a deep breath, you can do that now. Otherwise, we're just going to get right into this reading for you all. So we will start with the tarot cards. I will get to the oracle cards in 2 separate installments later on. But other than that, yeah, let's just get into it. So the tarot cards we have here are the 5 of Wands in reverse, the 9 of Swords in reverse, the 5 of Cups upright, the 8 of Wands upright, the 5 of Pentacles in reverse, Strength card upright, 9 of Cups in reverse, the 8 of Swords upright, Queen of Cups upright, the 4 of Swords upright, the 3 of Wands in reverse, and we have the 4 of Pentacles upright. So, very different from the first stack, I will say. But for you all, a major theme for 2026 will be that. Okay, wait. The thing that's it's not confusing me, but the thing that I have to talk about is timing for all this, because when I talk about the theme is that you all need to heal from something as it relates to loss of some kind. This loss could have happened in the past, and you're having to do the grieving process this year, or it could be that you will encounter loss this year, and then you'll have to grieve this year. I really love how, honestly, the strength, and I'm looking at, for some reason, the strength card and the Queen of Cups upright. I feel like those are 2 major cards for you, because even though it seems like I'll just talk about this loss happening this year, but again, it could just keep in mind with me saying that when I refer to it in the present moment or for this year, keep in mind that I'm talking also about how this could relate to your past, especially 2025. Okay. But I love how Strength and Queen of Cups are both upright here, and then I'm connecting them together because even though there's something that you will have to grieve the loss over, it feels like this will make you so much stronger. And I think you'll feel a lot more confident in yourself to be able to get through difficult things. But I do want to say, the way this comes across, this loss, it doesn't feel as much like the loss of an actual person, although if that does happen this year, I'm really sorry, like, if you lose somebody important physically in this realm. But I'm getting more the sense that there will be a loss of friendships or relationships. And all yeah, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, so it feels like you'll be disconnected from people you were once connected to, is the best way that this comes across. And so you'll have to grieve that this year. And I think a lot of you, this year is really about it's a solo journey year. You'll have to do a lot of self-healing. And it's interesting that we do have the 8 of Wands here, though, because that indicates to me that there will be a lot of progress made. I feel like there's certain lessons you have yet to learn as it relates to the things you lose this year, especially relationships or friendships. And that could also include, when I talk about any sort of relationships for this reading, that can include romantic relationships, it can include friendships, it can include also family relationships, okay? But it seems like there's also quite a bit of karmic ties, so I wouldn't be surprised if there's certain people in your life who you have to disconnect from, who you've been connected with for many lifetimes, and so now's the time to finally disconnect or to cut that cord. There's certain people that you have in your life, and they're very close to you probably, unfortunately, that will need to be released from your life. Excuse me? But yeah, people need to be released from your life. I'm getting a sense that it's more than one person. It could be like a group of people. It makes me think of, like, let's say you leave the church, whatever church you're a part of, or whatever faith you're a part of, and you have a bunch of friends that you know who are in a friend group through the church or family, right? It makes me think of that. Also because whenever I look at that 5 of Pentacles card, and it's in reverse, and I think about the 5 of Pentacles card like they're outside of a church because of the stained glass on the window with the 5 of Pentacles. Yeah, but the 5 of Wands too. 5 of Wands being in reverse, that is about conflict avoidance, so I think you'll realize this year that there's certain people you need to kinda just avoid from now on, and it's I think there's certain people you don't get along with and you argue with a lot, even if you're close with them, but you're like, "Well, we're close, we're family, that's what family does, that's what close friends do." But I think you'll realize that the dynamics at play actually aren't healthy, and they aren't helpful for you or the other people. So, there's a big sense that the people you'll have to cut out from your life, you'll obviously deal with a lot less fighting and arguing and disagreements when you cut these people out. For some of you, I do have to bring this up. Now that I think about the church example, it makes me think actually, oh, and in the Four of Swords, it has the stained glass too. Oh my gosh. And it has the stained glass imagery. That person looks like they're from The Handmaid's Tale. Anyway, I think for some of you, it could be really that you also just in general question your faith this year. It feels like a lot of you will feel a bit lost throughout the year. But Spirit is saying with this Eight of Wands, I really have to highlight that. There's a lot of progress being made. There's lessons to be learned, especially karmic lessons that you haven't learned. And those karmic lessons, I don't think just involve cutting ties with certain people from past lives. I think it also involves just certain things you did and said and believed in prior lifetimes that now it's time to finally question. So I think it's a year of questioning. And so then that will make you feel probably quite lost. But Spirit is saying that's all part of the progress and part of the journey, and that this will help you in healing overall because you know what popped into my head, the phrase, the more you know, the less you know. I think that actually applies to a lot of you where the more open you are to different information for this year, you'll feel more lost and feel like you don't have a foundation to rely on. But since the Nine of Swords here is in reverse, it is next to the Five of Cups though. So yeah, the Five of Cups in general is about grief and loss. And it can be about, yeah, grieving any losses that you go through. But since we have the Nine of Swords in reverse here, that indicates, oh, and do you see the Nine of Swords in reverse is mirroring the Eight of Swords upright? Ooh, so for some of you too, there's cultural conditioning that you need to really work through. Think about any conditioning that's been placed upon you as it relates to religion and as it relates to family dynamics, as it relates to gender roles, as it relates to your ethnicity, like anything. Think about roles that have been placed upon you from birth or at a young age. There's a lot of conditioning that needs to be unlearned during this time. And that's where, when we talk about, you can maybe feel lost because I think a lot of you will question your identity. That could, I mean, I brought that up, so I might as well say, even if you're questioning your sexual identity, I'm not really getting that all that much, if anything. I think it's more so other dynamics, such as gender roles, and what it means to be feminine and masculine. Stuff like that is showing up, and what those things mean religiously and culturally. But there's a lot of conditioning that needs to be unlearned. And I will say, me as somebody who is assigned female at birth, and somebody who's a non-binary woman, so I still very much connect with being a woman and identifying as a woman in many ways. There's there's something called internalized misogyny, and I didn't think I ever had that until I did reflection about that. So me bringing that up too, it makes me think a lot of you could push these certain stereotypes and cultural norms onto other people without realizing it. So I think this is a year of understanding how you push those beliefs onto other people as well. And I think you'll see how it's been a negative influence on other people and not just even yourself. But it feels like, yeah, all these things, it will be a year of questioning and figuring out, okay, what do I actually believe? And what What have I learned throughout life that I still wish to keep, but what needs to be released? And I have to highlight that Nine of Cups card now because it's in reverse. And I call that card the dream come true or the wish come true card. With that card being in reverse, I think what is it reminds you know what I'm getting visuals of now? You know the Barbie movie? How they're all in Barbie land, but then when they go to actual planet Earth, like, not in the Barbie land dimension or world or planet land, when Ryan Reynolds and Margot Robbie as Barbie and Ken go to California and they're looking around, and I think in that movie, you could say they quote unquote get a reality check because 'cause they're literally living in reality. It feels like a lot of you I'm hearing will get a reality check where it seems like maybe things have seemed perfect or things have seemed aligned. Things have maybe recently in the past few years, maybe even throughout your entire life, things have maybe gone pretty smoothly for you, or things have just looked like you're on the right path. But I think with these realizations and these epiphanies that you encounter for this year will make you snap out of that fantasy land is the way this comes across. So instead of Barbie being in Barbie land or wherever, instead you'll be in California is pretty, but instead you'll be in real life America or real life wherever in the world. And it can be very scary to think like that. To think to think maybe certain beliefs you have kept you safe from the actual world around you, but that's the best way I can describe that sentiment and what I'm seeing. But with the 5 of Pentacles being in reverse, that as well is about healing from loss. So any loss of self that you have will be rebuilt. And we have strength right next to it. And we have 8 of Wands on both. So 8 of Wands and strength on both sides of that. So Spirit is saying that any parts of yourself that you release, any parts of yourself that change, remember that it's a way to help heal you. If let's say you change your name, or let's say you for the first time ever like dye your hair, cut your hair a certain way, and it's like very different. People perceive you differently. Don't worry about how other people perceive you. Just consider how you wish to view yourself and perceive yourself to and for yourself. And Spirit is saying that whatever losses you go through in terms of relationships, but as well as for yourself, this is part of your healing journey, and that you'll be stronger on the other side of this because you'll be more of who you are meant to be. You'll be more of who you actually are deep within. I think in many ways you've probably had to hide parts of yourself to keep you safe. A lot of that can relate to childhood. Even if we look at this 4 of Pentacles here, this indicates to me keeping your cards close to your chest, having to present a certain part of yourself or even present a certain lifestyle to other people. In reference to the lifestyle, that could mean like maybe you have a certain career because your parents or your family wanted you to, or because you thought that you would be viewed in high regards. Right. But what if in reality you're actually like very creative and artistic? As opposed to being like in the medical field. That's just an example, of course. You can be both things too, by the way. So maybe let's say you're still a doctor, you like doing that. But then you are like, I wish I could express my creativity more, and I wish I could paint more and show other people my art. So I think in many ways you've had to keep your cards close to your chest. I wouldn't be surprised if many of you have grown up in very traditional family systems and traditional cultural systems. And so it's a very uncanny valley where everybody has to like present a certain way. It makes me think of, no offense if you're a Mormon or a Latter-day Saint, but it reminds me of, like, if you watch Alyssa Grenfell, her videos, she has many great videos. She's an ex-Mormon, and she talks about, I've mentioned her before on this channel, but she talks about how Mormons, especially when they're on missions or they're trying to recruit people to Mormonism and the church, She talks about how Mormons will have very, like, similar kinda monotone voices, how people are always smiling and always trying to be very nice and kind, but it's in a way that's manipulative. It very much feels like you may have grown up in a system where as long as you follow the rules that are put in place and follow the rules and the expectations that we have laid out for you, then everything will be fine. Everything looks fine. You don't have to worry. You don't even have to think for yourself. You don't have to think about these other things. But then, when something's again pulled into question, by the way, my cat is in his litter box, so I'm sorry if you hear that. I won't pause it just because that gets me off track. So hopefully you can't hear it because I have the noise reduction thing on. But anyway, for the like background noise. So what I was saying is that with this Four of Cups energy and really the whole energy of all this, there's a sense that you may be stuck in a system where everything looks fine and it's because of people's reinforcements. Like, yes, you're doing the right thing as long as you do this, but don't steer off this path, but then you steer off that path, or you think for yourself, or you think outside of the norm for your community, your group of people, your society, and then people question you, and they're like, ooh, it makes me think of the witch trials, and they're like, you never believed in like this religion, or something's wrong with you, you're possessed. It's you're right. I know that sounds silly, but for some of you, I feel like that really could relate. And it makes me think of people who come out as queer, and then people are like, "Oh no, you just have to go to conversion therapy. The devil's inside of you." But it's like, no, that's not how it works. And so yeah, I think if you with these realizations that you have and going against certain systems that are in place, people will view you as a rebel, and people will want to associate with you less anyway, and that goes back full circle to what I was talking about with relationships. I think the Five of Wands in reverse energy about conflict avoidance, that could be about yeah, certain religious or political beliefs I was talking about, but let's say for something like you are queer. I think naturally people will I don't think you'll even have to do too much. You'll just do maybe the final steps because maybe there's people who expect you to change or like revert back to old habits or old beliefs. And so there might be people in your life that still keep you at a distance, but they don't talk to you as much because they're like, well, until you get better, until you realize where you're wrong. And so you'll have to be the one to make those final cutting of cord decisions. But it seems like naturally people will kind of disappear from your life anyway, slowly but surely. So if you want to speed up that progress with the Eight of Wands being here, Spirit is saying that you have that ability. With the Three of Wands being reversed, that relates to what I was talking about with a lot of you maybe feeling a bit lost for this year. But again, I'm not getting this in a way that's bad. I think there could be some sadness present here, though. But Spirit is saying with the Strength card, you are strong. And Spirit is saying that this is not meant to be easy. Spirit is saying that whatever shifts you're going through, people you're getting rid of, and parts of your identity that you are bringing forth or changing, personality, identity, Spirit is saying that along with that, these changes are meant to be hard. But with the Eight of Swords, Spirit is saying that it's better to break free from these systems and beliefs as opposed to staying stuck in them. Because you don't want to keep staying in this Eight of Swords energy. I think a lot of you will still have to do a lot throughout your life to heal and work through untangling the mess of all these beliefs that you have, or all these parts of yourself that you once believed were true or part of you. There's a lot you will already need to do to dismantle all that. So, and Spirit is saying that they understand that that's hard, but that you are strong and that it's better for you to do that, even if it is difficult, because staying in place with where you are now keeps you stuck and it gives you a false sense of happiness. So that's why, too, it's like a lot of you, I think, through this year will realize maybe you've never really been fully happy or truly happy because you haven't been truly and authentically yourself, or you haven't been able to live authentically the lifestyle you would like to live. And that's part of what needs to be grieved as well. The of the grieving process of realizing that your life really wasn't as happy or as meant for you as you thought. Obviously, if you're going to make any shifts on your life path. And I just see that being a difficult process, but Spirit is saying you are so strong and to hang in there. You that you need to grieve the life that you thought you had or the life that you just once had, because it seems like this shift that happens this year, it feels very, very much like it will change the whole course of your life, but for the better. And I think there's a lot of fear in this, and I think a lot of what's kept you stuck in certain beliefs or a certain lifestyle or with certain people around you, I think the reason why a lot of you have been stuck is because of fear. And a lot of that could be because of ideologies, saying if you don't believe this anymore, or if you are this way instead of being the way we tell you to be, then this bad thing will happen to you. And so then it's like, well, I don't want this bad thing to happen to me. And when you get told that from a very young age or from everybody around you, then of course you want to believe that. You want to trust that what people are telling you is for your best interest and that it's true. And so it makes sense that people are caught up in fear. I think a lot. I think most hate in the world is caused by fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what you don't understand, fear of what you do not personally experience. So Spirit is saying that, well, I do want to say with that, it seems like with these shifts you go through this year, I feel like major life experiences tied to these changes probably won't take place this year. This is more so a year of mentally working through things and releasing the things and the people that no longer serve us and that don't align with us specifically. I'm also hearing that, I don't remember where I was going before, but I'm also hearing that I think a lot of you make excuses for certain people in your life, saying like, "Oh, well maybe they grew up this way, so that's why." Or they experienced this thing, which is why they are mean, or it's why they're hateful, or it's why they're understanding of this. And they're old. That's why they don't understand this new stuff and new lingo, different cultures or policies in politics. Spirit is saying you cannot keep doing that. You cannot keep making excuses for people for their inability. It's not even inability, their unwantingness to actually look at themselves, evaluate themselves, and make proper changes. You cannot make excuses for other people on their behalf for not being willing and able to change. Well, not able, sorry, willing to change. People are always able to change, no matter how difficult. People are able to change their mind. People are able to do different things. People are always able to treat people differently, with more kindness, with more love and compassion and respect. People in your life who do not do that, you cannot make excuses anymore for these people. And I think that will really help you to realize some people in your life just flat out are not good people. And it's not because of how they grew up, what they experienced, because let me tell you, okay, there are so many people who are significantly older than you and I, people who are like in their 80s, 90s, 100s, who are able to change their mind, or people who even growing up in certain systems or beliefs realized at some point throughout their lives that what they have been taught, what they have been told by people quote unquote superior to them in age or in family dynamics, teachers, grandparents, anybody, there are still people out there who are older and people throughout history who have realized and gone against these certain beliefs that people teach, that people preach and praise. There are people who are literally 100 right now who have different beliefs than people who have so much hate in their heart. And I'm just going to say it, like, such as queer and trans rights. There are people who have always, or who at least at some point in life have changed their mind to realize trans people are people and they deserve to have rights. If you're listening to this video, then you should know I'm non-binary. I think I already mentioned that earlier. So, like, I'm not trans, but I'm definitely not gender conforming in relation to only the sex I was given at birth, okay? And I don't even need to be more directly related to the cause. That's the thing too. A lot of you need to realize you don't need to directly be related to certain issues in order to have a stance and in order to be an advocate. And so I think a lot of you will realize certain behaviors you've had in the past where you have not been an advocate for other people because maybe you have not experienced it. And now some of you will experience certain things this year as it is directly related to issues that you just thought they didn't impact you. It makes me think of in Love is Blind, Minnesota, season 8 or 6 or something, I don't remember. But when that one guy, there's Sarah and that one guy, I don't remember his name. He said that he never thought about Black Lives Matter movement. It doesn't affect him, so he doesn't ever think about it. A big lesson that you all need to learn for this year is that you cannot just sit back and let things happen to you, and you cannot just sit back and let things happen to other people. You have to take more of a stance. And yes, that is scary. And yes, there will be people who will be judgmental towards you, maybe even throw hate your way. But Spirit is saying it is better to be exposed to these truths than to lie to yourself or other people through ignorance. It is better to know about what's going on in the world and with other people, to learn and have empathy, than to just live your life in your own sheltered bubble. That is a big, huge lesson that more of you need to tap into this year. And maybe you've already done work on that, and that's great. But since you chose this stack, Spirit is saying that there's either way a lot more work that needs to be done with all of that. Okay. The Four of Swords here is telling me that Queen of Cups too. I want to go to that first because that really talks about empathy. That means empathy for some of you more so relates to yourself, right? If there's parts of yourself that you've kept hidden. But then, and so yeah, having empathy toward yourself, I think it's a balance of needing to do both. You need to have empathy, more empathy toward yourself, learning how to do that this year. And that also includes having empathy for more people. I think the more empathy we show for other people as well, the more empathy we are able to show for ourselves. Inadvertently, hopefully, or at least we'll be surrounded by certain people that if we show them empathy, then they'll be reciprocal and be like, hey, I'm going to show you empathy for this thing. Okay, Four of Swords is about that contemplative energy. Now in terms of, well, for some of you, I think it will be, I wasn't even going to say contemplative, so I think I brought up that word for a reason. I think a lot of you will, there are certain things, or there's certain people you want to keep in your life. You'd be like, well, but they're so nice to me, even if they say or do certain things that other people perceive as negative or hateful. So that's part of the contemplative energy. Or like, maybe I can make this change, but I'm still scared of what other people will think. Spirit's like, no, don't do that. And with this Four of Swords energy, this is about this rest period. This year is about protecting your own peace. So once we cut ties, once we remove and release things that we don't need, that includes physical goods too. Like let's say you have a lot of clothes or letters from an ex, right? So it's a time of releasing and removing, purifying, detoxing. It's a time of learning and educating as well. I talked about doing research earlier in this reading, I believe. So it's about looking up different things, learning what you don't know, learning more about what you want to learn more about. And there really is a sense of learning more about other people and the way they think and they live their lives in a way that comes from a compassionate viewpoint or a compassionate lens, wanting to learn more about other people and also how you can help other people. And I feel like you'll be more helpful with yourself along that journey as well when you're helping other people. Then I hope that you also want to help yourself and realize the ways in which you are stuck and that you can break free. That's part of what this Four Swords energy is all about, but it's really about ultimately just resting and relaxing. As you are removing these things from your life, as you're figuring out who you are, where you want to be in life, Spirit is saying that it will take a lot of energy out of you, so you need to, during this year, take as many breaks, have as much rest as possible. Don't try to do too much, Spirit is saying that already the thoughts that you'll have and like processing things from your past and present, that will already be enough. It's a really good year for journaling. Okay, I could even see some of you writing your own book as well. Even if you never publish it, just writing. Even if it's fictionalized, a lot of people write fictionalized books that take key points from their own personal life because they have experience. I think doing that will actually, for some of you, be more helpful because it will help you realize when, as you're writing out these characters and these plot points, these storylines, you'd be like, "Oh, so that's actually how I feel," or, "Oh, that's actually, like, not good that that thing happened, and I didn't realize that the thing that happened to me was not good." A lot of realizations, a lot of even though I think a lot of you could feel quite alone this year, I want you to know that I know it really is cliche, but quite literally, you're not alone. Even if for some of you, what will help get you through this year is talking with your spirit guides, your higher self, like God, source, archangels, whoever it is, power animals, or animal guides. Spirit is saying that you are able to draw strength from them, from spirit, but also with the strength card, you are able to draw strength from within. Because from all you've experienced in life, now's not the time to give up. It's like, well, now I know, so now's a chance for me to make my life better. And that's really a big theme for you all, is to make your life better moving forward for 2026 and far beyond just 2026. Because this has very important consequences in a positive way for your future. So Spirit is saying now is that time to get unstuck, to remove yourself from certain situations, and to really uh, like live in authenticity. That's one of the key words for y'all too, is living authentically or living in authenticity. And I think you'll eventually have more people in your life who are more authentic as well. Because there's a lot of people who say maybe they're authentic, but they're not. I think a lot of people thrive off of fear for themselves. It keeps them safe. So you'll, in the future, find other people who are more authentically themselves. You'll draw more people into you. Or how to explain? More people will be drawn to you because of your authenticity, and you'll be drawn more to other people because of their authenticity. The authenticity, you'll be able to it's like people are like, like, are their vibes right? Their vibes not? You'll be able to pick up on the good vibes, okay, and the good energy. And you'll be able to also decipher when people are how do I explain? When people are being judgmental toward you or people are being manipulative toward you. Any of that, you'll be able to see right through. Through this time, you'll also be able to trust your intuition a lot more as well. And you'll be able to it's weird. I'm because I think during this year, it will be a very nihilistic year, but I think after this year, like 2 to 3 years from now, you won't necessarily view life with nihilism. Maybe still at least quite a bit, but I think you'll also have a lot more hope for the future for all of humanity because of what you go through this year and continuing that work later on throughout life. So this is very, very powerful stuff. I'm very interested to see what the oracle cards bring. So let me put these cards aside now. And then put these right here. Let's go to these cards. Laying them out now. Psychic ability. Ooh, ooh. Laying all these out. Wow. These are amazing. Okay, so the oracle cards we have here are 23, Labradorite, psychic ability, third eye chakra, snake, healing, you are a healer, spiritual growth, 14, communication. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of source and balanced exchange. We have Be the Mountain, slow and steady, foundations, peace. I'm sorry, patience. Cracked open, not peace, patience. Cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. Palm, athletics, victory, triumph, award, rewarding. Reward yourself for your triumphs thus far and engage in athletics and team sports. Oh, my cat. Don't do that, Axel. Okay. He was trying to swat at the microphone. Uh, for the romance oracle cards, we have unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. And we have from the Angels of Abundance deck, block out distractions. Your life purpose and other priorities need your undivided attention, so it's time for you to take charge of your schedule and working environment by turning off electronics and avoiding anyone or anything that distracts you from what's important. You already know what these distractions are, and you have the power to responsibly block them out. All of this is beautiful. Before I forget, well, first I want to say that these cards I'll read in the guidebook later on, but first I want to talk about what I see and what I intuitively am being told through these cards before I read in the guidebooks, but I also want to look out number 14 in the Angel Numbers book. So it says 14, forward thinking. You're planting the seeds for your future. That vision you hold dear for your future is being nurtured today. The work you put in will be rewarded. Write down your vision in great detail. Visualize yourself reading it again after it's been realized. Yeah, so if the future seems scary, Spirit is saying to do things step by step and that you don't need to have everything done right now. Like, what you're doing now, even if it sometimes doesn't even feel like much, is planting the seeds for the future. It's getting you to where you need to be. For unrequited love, that card, even though it's from the Romance Oracle deck, for you all, I think it's just about, again, the relationships that you have in your life with people who do not actually value you in the way that they should, or they don't respect you in the way that they should. And it just seems like there's people in your life who just aren't good people, like I was saying. And so with this here, the unrequited love, there's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. That's super crucial and important that it says this, because whether you're blood related, whether you've known each other a long time, people can change or you can change. And so you may hopefully realize there's certain people in your life that you do not feel a bond with, or that you feel you have any similarities with them or anything to connect you to them. So Spirit is saying, what's the point of even keeping this up? And again, this isn't just about romantic relationships, any relationship. Spirit is saying, what's the point of trying to maintain this if there's nothing to maintain? You're not maintaining anything. This isn't a relationship worth keeping. It isn't a relationship worth maintaining, especially if you're the only one trying to put in work. And if you have to make yourself small in order to get people to love you, Spirit is saying that that's unrequited. That's not true love. For you to have to hide parts of yourself or not authentically be yourself, Spirit is saying that is part of the issue here, and that's part of the reason we're saying that these certain relationships, they're not actually good. They're not meant for you. They're not purposeful. Before I forget, my cat walked in here, and I have to, like, he brought something in on his paws. So I'm just gonna pick that up before I forget. I don't know what that is. Did I get it? Yeah. That's it. Okay, because my cat walked back in here and he's by the cards, and yeah. Oh, block out distractions. Those distractions are the people telling you you're not good enough, or telling you that what you want to do with your life or who you want to be either isn't enough or it's not purposeful, even though it is. Anybody in your life who tells you that you're not doing something the way they would do it, telling you you're not doing something like righteous enough or like in God's love enough. Like, I'm sorry I keep bringing up the church stuff, but for a lot of you, I really feel like it resonates, especially because we have the spiritual girl stuff here. That's part of what Spirit wants us to say too, is that if any of you are worried about fostering community and you want a religious practice to partake in, you want to be a part of a spiritual or religious practice, Spirit is saying you are still able to do that, but you will grow even further in your faith doing something else. I mean, you're listening to this tarot video, so I imagine you could be involved in or want to be more involved in different witch practices and different pagan practices, right? Just anything, Buddhist. But there's a way in which you can grow, you will grow more in faith without any religious doctrine that you may be a part of right now, or maybe you'll still be a part of the same faith, but you'll be a part of a different church, or you just do things by yourself, right? So just think about that. But Spirit is saying that you are meant to live out your life purpose. Like, there's different life purposes that we have. I already talked about how I think a big purpose for you all is to release these karmic patterns that you have, and that includes certain relationships with people. With communication being here, I love how it talks about communication, and it comes from the center of our truth. A lot of you have not been living in truth. You have not been living authentically as you. So Spirit is saying that it's time for you to now not be afraid to live authentically as you. To not be afraid to show other people, to tell other people who you are. To not be afraid of you becoming who you are. Because that's the thing too, it's not even just about other people's perceptions, it's about how we perceive ourselves. Because about the identity thing, and if you have an identity crisis for the year, or like you don't want to mess things up, Spirit is saying you can't mess things up if you're just doing what feels right for you, right? And if it's not hurting other people, then there's definitely not a reason to have to worry. And you'll never know unless you finally try or do something or make certain changes. So Spirit is saying to not be afraid to communicate with people, because I think a lot of people in your life actually probably like talk over you, and they don't let you really have a say in things, or they don't let you, like, if you try to express a certain sentiment, I feel like people shut you off, or they're like, yeah, I don't believe that, or I just don't like that way you're thinking, or I'm gonna talk about me now. Spirit is saying, for these people, don't be afraid to tell them how you feel. Don't make your voice small. It's time for you to shine bright, and that doesn't mean you have to be loud. And in communication, it's not saying to like speak loudly or to yell or to scream from the rooftops. What is my cat doing? He's feeling the energy. He was like this yesterday when I filmed pile 1. But Spirit is saying you don't need to speak loud. There's a quiet confidence about you that just by factually and flat out saying who you are and what you believe in without faltering and leaving it at that, that's all you need to do. You also don't need to convince people of anything during this time, because I think people will not be convinced. It's not your place to have to convince people. These people are stuck and stubborn, they're stuck in their old ways, and nothing will, at least for a while, I don't see anything changing for them unless there's something personal going on. That's the thing too, a lot of people are unwilling to change their viewpoints unless something happens personally to them. But Spirit is saying you have to, I'm hearing, you gotta go my own way. You know, from High School Musical. What about us? I see you really though, being like, being that Vanessa Hudgens, that is it Gabriella Montoya? Am I thinking of, am I mixing up names? Gabriella Montoya? Am I right? Anyway, Gabriella from High School Musical. She was just like, factually, this is what I'm gonna do. I've already made my decision. So that's how you have to be. You have to be like, this is the decision I've made, or this is how I feel, and this is how I think now. This is what I believe. This is what I'm doing. Yada yada yada. And you just say, and then other people can maybe get up in arms and scream and yell or try to convince you otherwise, and you just be like, nope. And then you walk away, or you just stop talking to them, because that's all you need to do. You protect your peace, and that means stating who you are without being affected by other people's notions or beliefs about you or judgments toward you. Okay, spiritual growth. That also means for, you know, we were talking about karma. So spiritual growth, a big part of your spiritual growth is releasing that karma, and that inevitably will lead to spiritual growth. It will lead to your spirit and your soul evolving and growing, becoming more connected to God or source or the universe, whichever you prefer in your. And I just see you becoming a lot more of an enlightened being. I feel a big weight being lifted off your shoulders and off your chest as well. It's like you carry other people's crap around, and now's the time. That's part of what you need to release. It's like, it doesn't matter what other people say. You believe what you say, and you protect your peace by engaging with people who are also wanting to protect their peace. You don't engage with people who are trying to cause issues or fights, arguments. And snake with healing, that's flat out saying you are a healer. And that means you can heal other people, but I think right now, this year is more so about healing yourself. It's about healing the parts of yourself that need to be healed. Focusing on that, so then in the future, you do have the ability to heal other people through your words and you're talking about your experiences and how you were able to get through. Like, I talked about writing a book. I could see also, like, later on in life, you writing a book about all you've been through and, like, what got you through it, by the way. Psychic ability, Labradorite. Again, through this time, through this year, you'll gain a stronger intuition and you'll be able to weed out the snake. Oh, and snake is right there. Weed out the snakes, but you'll be able to weed out the people in your life who aren't good and people trying to enter your life. It's like you'll be able to tell when people are not good influences, not good influences or just not good people. And just in everyday life instances, even the small things, you'll naturally just be a lot more intuitive and you'll trust yourself more. That's the thing. As your beliefs change during this year, as parts of yourself change, when you are more authentically living the life you're meant to live, and you are intuitively trusting that, then that opens up your intuition to everything in life. Because you are doing this major change, it's difficult, but you're doing it. And so Spirit also wants to strengthen your intuition. It will happen naturally, but they also want for that to happen because they want to be able to help guide you, and so you could be getting a lot of signs and synchronicities like butterflies this year. I could see you being sent. I feel like you probably have a strong connection to animals, or you will start to this year. I wonder if I think being out in nature will be very helpful for you this year as well. That's part of blocking out the distractions, being away from electronics or being away from like Wi-Fi signals, right? Doing that, I think, will be very beneficial to help release. Palm is here too, so going somewhere tropical or like really warm. Oh yeah, I see that being good for you. But Palm is saying that you are able to get through this. Awarding and rewarding. You will be rewarded with actual genuine happiness and actual genuine love for others, and others having genuine love and happiness for you. From getting past this, from living the life you are authentically meant to live. And slow and steady, foundations, patience. That's the thing, foundation. You are able to build, oh my God. Oh, I feel like crying right now. You are able to build your own foundations. Slow and steady. Spirit is saying that it isn't meant to be something that happens quickly. This is something that it will take a lot out of you, and it can be scary. So that's why Spirit wants you to tackle things one at a time. So then when you feel like you've tackled something or you've cut one thing or person out of your life, then you can do it for another person or another thing. Spirit is saying it's overwhelming, so it's understandable. And it is okay that it is a process, that it will take time. And with rock bottom, some of you, maybe this year is kind of like a rock bottom for you. And when it's talking about surrender, Spirit is saying surrender to who you really are. Surrender to, like, you can't put up this facade anymore of, like, any upkeep around who you think people want you to be, of who you've been conditioned to be. Spirit is saying it's time to surrender and let go of those things. Because if you surrender, if you just, like, really sit there and relax, think about how you visualize yourself and how, without thinking of preconceived notions, what do you actually think? Like, research a commentary video on a certain random subject and then think about, or like how it relates to culture or politics or societal thinking. And then think to yourself throughout the video and afterward, be like, is this something that is involved in my life? And it probably will be. And it's like, is this how I actually think and feel? Or is it just how other people have told me to think and feel? So it's really a year about that. Distinguishing between how you actually feel and think versus other people from a young age. And a lot of people can relate to that, you know? Okay, let's go into the guidebooks now. So we first have number 23, Labradorite, and it says Psychic Ability, Third Eye Chakra. Where when you draw the Labradorite card, also I want to say the Labradorite crystal is known as like the mermaid stone, and it's very much tied to magic and mysticism, and like it's very much something that helps people evolve spiritually. It heralds a time for you to get more in touch with your intuition and psychic ability. You have been born with your own unique psychic gifts. Trust in these gifts and know that you are truly connecting with your spirit guides and angels. Do not be afraid of your psychic abilities. You may receive your psychic information through premonitions, your dreams, or through being clairsentient, which is when you feel something physically. It's an inner knowing. You may also receive psychic information through clairvoyance, which is seeing something with your third eye or inner eye. If you are already aware of your psychic gifts, Labradorite is here today to make you aware that you need to reawaken these gifts or prepare for a boost in your intuition. Your spirit guides have been trying to get your attention. They want to work more closely with you. Notice any signs you receive or feelings that you may have. You may be inspired to attend some spiritual seminars or retreats, or you may feel drawn to a particular spiritual book which will help you enhance your psychic skills. Out of all those, I don't really like retreats for many reasons. That could be a whole different video, but a spiritual book, I think something where you're more at home, alone kind of thing, and doing this work by yourself, for yourself, such as reading. That's why I was seeing you reading and like watching a lot of content to help educate yourself throughout this year. So doing that will help you. It's not even that I think you could read different spiritual books, but I'm getting more so a sense that different spiritual practices you should do. Like if you're wanting to learn about different spells and spell work, then reading up on books for that, or like even the history. I think learning about different history components throughout this year will be very important. So history as it relates to spiritual practices, or history as it relates to cultural norms, things like that will be very healing for you because you'll realize the history of it all. And so then it demystifies certain things in your life and it makes things less scary. But Labradorite is a very magical stone. It helps to enact miracles. So I love that stone. A lot of people love that stone for good reason. Okay, next. Oh, there it is. So next we have Snake. Healing, you're a healer. The gifts you possess are not actually yours. They emanate from divine spirit and are grounded in your body, and it's through your body that this force is focused and expressed. The two areas that are hot spots for this concentration of life force are your heart and your hands. Pay attention to these areas and do whatever you must to keep them energetically clear. An effective way to clear your heart and hands is to purge them by bathing with white light, allowing whatever psychic debris has been rinsed off. Allowing whatever psychic debris has been rinsed off with the light to drain down your spine and legs and out through the soles of your feet into Mother Earth. She will readily and easily accept this invisible toxic waste and transform it into new life. Don't fear your healing power. See, there's fear like wrapped up in y'all. Like, don't be fearful. Even if you don't think you're fearful, you might just be like, I don't know, I'm like neutral. I'm sometimes fearful, but I sometimes get anxiety. Working through these issues that you need to work through for this year will help you realize how much of all this, it isn't even just your fear as well. I have to emphasize this. A lot of this is fear that's been placed upon you generationally. Generational fear. Fear related to conditioning and conforming. Okay. Don't fear your healing power. It's your destiny to relieve the suffering of others, and as you do so, you transform your own suffering from this and other lifetimes into compassion and love, which is the purest expression of life energy you can have. That is healing, no matter what the form is. The more open you remain, the more the master power of the universe can come through you and create miracles. Additional associations, rebirth, sexuality, transmutation, and transformation. Yes, it's really a year for transmuting and transforming and rebirth, really. Sexuality could be involved in that. Hey, never know. Why not? Card said it, not me. Okay, spiritual growth. This card signifies that the change you're currently in the midst of or contemplating. Oh, the contemplation. Brought up again, is part of your spiritual growth. It will bring about great blessings even if challenges present themselves along the way. As this experience comes to a conclusion, you'll know that you are very strong indeed. Already, this connects so much to the tarot cards and the messages that were being said. In fact, the situation will push you to leave behind your comfort zone. You'll reach deep inside to a reservoir of strength that you didn't know you had. Yes, this strength is both peaceful and powerful. Again, the quiet confidence. And it helps you learn new life lessons, as well as let go of old pain and forgive your past. Additional meanings. Spiritual seeking, a change of religion or new spiritual path, being true to yourself. Yes, a legal issue, a health challenge. Oh my god. I feel like having a mental breakdown. Not like a mental breakdown like I'm sad, but it's like that sums up perfectly what I was talking about for much of the tarot reading. Oh, I'm so glad that card was pulled. Oh, Brittany, hold it together. Keep it together. Also, I want to read in the guidebook number 90. 9 itself is a number of releasing. Or it can be. Also about practicing gratitude. But let's see what 90 says in here. Okay. It says the close. Let go of what no longer serves you. I mean, come on. There is a significant ending happening in one part of your life right now. Your angels validate its significance. However, you are being urged to let it go and find closure. Lie in meditation and repeat this mantra. I let go of what no longer serves me. I mean, I don't even need to say anything else about that. Except for I told you so. Okay, let's go into the other guidebook though. So we have 14 communication. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of source and balance exchange. And that reminds me too of what I was saying where it's basically like, don't just believe everything people tell you. And if people, like this conditioning you have from the past, put that through a filter and feel if it resonates with you or not. Also, one of the angel numbers in here is 33, and I did read that number in the main video. The main video that highlights all of these piles. So if you want to go back to that to see number 33 and the messages behind that, then you can. Anyway, communication is the process of sharing information between a sender and a recipient. For humans, this usually takes place through spoken and written words, gestures, behaviors, or touch, but it can also happen through the more subtle languages like chemistry and energetics. Communication is at the core of all relations, whether interpersonal between people or the way in which our inner world and body talk to us. While words have predominantly been the way humankind has communicated for most of its modern history, the new energy invites us, even requires us, to develop our abilities to receive, translate, and share the messages that arise from the depths of us. Most of these messages will emerge as feelings and intuitive thought, and we might find that the words we have been using for so long hold far more complex and subtle energies than we ever imagined. And that leads to realizing more expanded and subtle meanings as well. The dolphins that swirl inside the 4 circles of this activation are representative of the mastery of relations. Are there actually dolphins in there? Oh, I guess so. The 4 corners on the outside. Where was I? Okay. They support the awakening and developing of subtle communications while reminding us to keep a playful attitude as we learn these new skills. Meanwhile, the number 4 represents the form-based world in which we live. 4 is also in the main video. I talked about that in the main video. It is a reminder of the importance of applying all that we learn to the reality we collectively choose to create on this planet. The triangles in the middle represent the inner union and balance between the feminine and the masculine. See, and I was talking about that too, about the balancing of feminine and masculine, and like realizing what's feminine and masculine for you and all that in the tarot reading. The upward large triangle symbolizes the connection to source, and the abundant blue indicates an open throat chakra. So clear and unrestricted that communication flows effortlessly. So it's a good idea during this time to work on your throat chakra. Yes. Greens represent the presence of an open heart, allowing love and compassion to pour into the external without restrictions and boundaries. So that's the thing too, like the people you release from your life as well during this time, try not to come about it from a place of hate or anything. Come at it from a place of empathy in a way that these people will never be able to understand. Because that's what helps set you apart from other people. And it makes you truly great. The turquoise represents the high heart, the place where the energies from the heart and those from the throat merge into the loving expression of truth. And the surrounding deep purple space represents the origin of clear, insightful perception through an open third eye. Try this. Take a moment to go inside and feel what your body is communicating to you. Is it happy? Is it sad? Is there any pain? There is great messaging in pain. Are you listening to that communication? That's the thing. With being more intuitive, you'll also be able to pick up on your body's cues and what your body is trying to tell you. Like if you're in a situation and you feel anxious, it's like, are you meant to even be in that situation then? Should you leave? You know, is it tied to something else? How do you communicate with the outer world? Are you kind and wise with your words when you speak with others? Are you sending positive messages to yourself? And what I was going to say too is that other people I did talk about this before, but people run on fear. So it's like being kind and compassionate is the best way instead of making people more fearful through negative messaging. Okay. I almost flipped right to it, but I went past it. So it says, be the mountain. Slow and steady, foundations, patience. Ooh, 60. Number 60. I'm going to go to number 60 in here. Not 6. I feel that 60 is more relevant. So 60, be prosperous. Find love and harmony at home. The message today is about creating an abundance of harmony in your house so that its effects reverberate outward into all areas of your life. Your angels want you to build a foundation. Foundation? It talks about foundations, one of the keywords for this card. Okay. Anyway, your angels want you to build a foundation for a prosperous life. Plan an activity that focuses on family, home, and harmony today. See, that's the thing. I feel like some of you have things like declutter. Part of releasing is stuff in your home that also feng shui. I recommend you all, if you chose a stack, to look that up. It's very interesting. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's very cool. Like there are places. Oh, why can't I think? Oh, Singapore is like a lot of the new developments in Singapore are completely based around feng shui practices, and that's a very prosperous city. Singapore is a city, but it's also a not a country, but it's anyway, Singapore, yes. But uh it feels like there needs to be more of a balance within your home. Decluttering your home will declutter your mind as well. Let's go back into the other guidebook though. Be the mountain. Mountains symbolize inner strength and solidity. Yes, the strength. We've long been captivated by mountains, perhaps because of their sheer size and scale. Many mountain ranges are visible from space, or because they represent wide, strong foundations while also reaching ever skyward. Those who reach the summits of mountains find their way above the clouds and can see farther than ever before, gaining new perspectives the higher they go. New perspectives, yes. Very important for you this year. The thing about mountains, or yeah, 2026. The thing about mountains is that without these strong, wide, solid foundations, the heights wouldn't be reached. To be the mountain card is a reminder to go slow and steady with your goals so that you can soar higher than ever before, to ensure that you have strong, steady foundations so you can reach to the heavens. It's a reminder that no matter how harsh the wind blows, nothing can knock you off center because you draw your strength from within. The shape of a mountain resembles a triangle, and the equilateral triangle is the strongest shape there is. No matter how much pressure you put on each of its sides, it cannot be broken, for it draws its strength from within. I love how it keeps talking about the strength from within. Yeah, grounding your energy too, like working on root chakra stuff, could be very helpful for you all right now as you're going through these changes, deep and personal changes, and you really are so much stronger than you know, and you'll be even stronger like as time goes on. The speed of the soul and our will can cause us to push ourselves for longer than is sustainable. The ancient stones have been here since the beginning, and they're always urging us to slow down to the speed of the earth. The essence of the message here is to slow down so you can speed up. Yes! Ancient stones activation. You can say this to yourself. I'm not in a rush. It's safe for me to go slow and steady. I focus on my foundations and draw my strength from deep within. Love that. Oh, I don't even have anything else to add to that. That's perfect. Now let's go to Cracked Open in here. And it says, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. Don't let the weight and density of the world squash your tender spirit. Instead, let it call even more of it home into your body at the center front of your life. It's through the extreme pressure of life's trials that diamonds are cultivated. It's when things are at their darkest that we cultivate proper faith and our light is ignited. Ooh, so when I was talking about faith too, it's like, yeah, this darkness, this lonely path that you might go through this year, it will allow you to gain more faith, or yeah, faith and trust in spirit and all that is beyond you as you go through these hard times, as you are safe and protected. It's through the crumbling that we can allow our wounds to be alchemized. Let your pain, sorrow, and losses make you, not break you. Let life alchemize your tragedies into gold. Be open to being cracked open, wide open. It's the difficult times that help us grow in leaps and bounds, and in ways we can only dream were possible. But first, they have to crack us open. Sometimes it hurts like hell. It's nature's way. Whether you let it happen or not, it's going to happen. So surrender to the process. It's how the light gets in. Yeah, so a lot of what's happening is Spirit is also saying there's things that will happen even outside of your control, so you might as well take action during this year to like release the things that need to be released before we just like take these things or situations or people from you in a way. When your heart cracks open, a space is created for your soul to more fully enter. When your soul cracks open, a space is created for the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter. Let your trials, your sorrows, your pains, and your losses transform you into more and more of yourself. Stay open to the possibility that your tragedies, your losses, your sorrows, and your hurt happen for you, not to you. Bless the thing that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs you open. Surrender to the alchemy of life. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How can you let life crack open? Okay, now we have to go to the final oracle cards here. Let's see what other messaging will be provided there. These here. Okay, now let's go. Also, before I forget, I actually do want to read 52 was one of the page numbers, and that stuck out to me for you all as well. So let's see what 52 says. It says, fine-tuning, hone your skills. You're being called not just to pass on certain skills, but also to really focus on them and make them the best way they can be. Or the best they can be. An interesting thing, I'm sorry, my words. An interest you have is calling to you for more attention. Acknowledge this and create a plan for furthering your own education on the matter. Yeah, the education. There's something you'll have to be learning and studying this year that will really help you, and I feel like it will have a positive impact on other people as well. Okay, now let's lay out these cards. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait a minute. Was that one of the other cards? Wait a minute. Let me look here. Yeah, we literally have the communication card pulled from one of the other decks. That? Okay, that's cool. So, we have 35 ascendant entrance, Uranus, an unusual example of a different way of looking at an unexpected change. Stir up the situation by using, be open to new ideas about, invent a way to, and then communicate, compromise, forgive, work it out. 7, it's time to move forward. And then I will not be reading I will not be saying what the angel answers cards are yet. I will do that after a bit. So 35 ascendant entrance before reading the guidebook for that, it's just already what I've said. It's beautiful. I love that it's showing up because there's parts of yourself that you really need to change, and it will be like a complete 180. And even if there's certain changes you make, like I said, these changes you make will impact all areas of your life. That includes your personality. Changing some things will actually inevitably change everything, but in a way that's best aligned for you. And it's time for you now to really shine. It's just what I keep hearing. It's time for you. Uranus is all about change as well. So it's time for you to enact change, and I see this affecting how you look physically, how you talk, the words you say, who you interact with, where you live, where you work. Like, I just see everything being impacted. And that doesn't mean you have to, like, quit your job. Some of you maybe really like your job. But I think you'll be viewed differently within your workplace either way. I think there's also going to be this newfound quiet confidence as you become more sure of yourself. And the Ascendant talks about how other people perceive you. So it's a time, like, people inevitably, as you go through these changes, will perceive you differently. So you just have to be okay with that. And understand that that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I see this being a very good thing. It's just that you will be perceived differently because you will be different. Let's go into the guidebook now. So we have 35 Ascendant entrance. In a natal chart, the Ascendant tells a story about how you walked into this life at your birth and how you walk into any new situation. It describes the door through which you see the world and the world sees you, your filter system, and hints at your awakening consciousness. The Ascendant, also known as the rising sign, describes the degree of the zodiac just coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment and place of your birth. Also, some of you, if you look at your Ascendant sign and like any placements that affect your Ascendant, those aspects may become more prominent during this time, or there may be transits to your Ascendant. Or you may feel even more separated from your Ascendant. Some people talk about how through life you move away from your Ascendant, you tap more into your Sun sign energy. That's just if you believe that or anything, but something to look into and consider. Action. How do you see the world? Take a long look at the assumptions and presumptions through which you filter your experience of reality. Really look at how your privilege, trauma, or certain attributes of your history can distort the reality of the moment. Do what you can to dismantle those obstructions so you can see the whole view. Open that aperture. Conversely, look carefully at the signals you send off. Do they match your intent? Do you say you're fine when you really need a hug? Are you trained to sound to sound modest or apologetic when really you know what you're doing? Do you act like you know what you're doing when you don't? Notice when you project onto the world and take responsibility for how you are seen. The ascendant is where you become visible. If this makes you nervous, investigate what needs to be healed to where you need to grow your confidence in order to feel comfortable being seen. Yes, the confidence. If you're asking about a project, look for what needs to be repaired or improved before you hold a press conference. Challenge. The front door is only one part of the house. Be willing to look beyond appearances and into the heart, but don't count on others' ability to do so too. Ooh, yes, gift. Over time, your reputation is built on what you do, not how you look. That challenge part, yeah. You'll develop even more of an ability to look beyond appearances, tap into your intuition, other than other people who look at things more at face value and look at things for themselves, what scares them. So it's not a place of empathy, is really what I'm saying, which is what we were already talking about throughout this. And Uranus is saying, well, these changes that happen for you are for the better. I just have to emphasize that again. How these changes will, it's like I'm seeing you blast off into a whole different area of life, like potentially moving across the country. Like it's very much that energy where there's a lot of changes. No change during this year will be a small change. And then communicate. It says compromise, forgive, and work it out. But for this, there could be some people who, no, I don't want to say that. I think the main word here is, well, with compromise, I think you compromise your energy from being around certain people that you need to cut out. But I think the main thing you need to do is forgive and then release. So don't be angry about certain things. Well, I don't want to say that. It's okay to be angry, but don't let that anger fuel you in a way that just keeps you angry. Do something with that anger. Let it fuel you for your passions and let it fuel you to do what those people never thought you could do or never thought you should do, right? So it's okay to forgive people, but then release. And it's okay to not hold judgment toward other people in a way that impacts your living. You can have certain feelings about people, but don't let that be what, like, is the only thing that dictates your healing and dictates you moving forward. And also with communicating, I think this is a stronger indication of communicating with people outside of your current groups of people that you have around you. It's a time of connecting with people who you are not close with yet, but that spirit wants you to be close with. Connecting with people who you maybe never would have introduced yourself to before because of certain preconceived notions or judgments that you held. And with 7, it's saying it's time to move forward. I actually want to read number 7 here too. I'm doing more for you than I am for stack 1, but I feel like it's important for some reason. So, 7, fear not. Do not let fear control you. What would I been saying about the fear? I cannot. Okay, learning and growing come with new contexts and opportunities. You are feeling called to do new things without always knowing whom or what you can trust. Seeing this number reminds you to be spontaneous and courageous, but also smart and cautious. It's okay to have a backup plan. When you see this number, create a list of what you are scared of and what you can do to mitigate those fears. That's quite literally perfect, and that's on page 30, by the way. But 30 is for the main video if you want to look at that angel number. But it is time to move forward. It's time to not be stuck in the past like these other people are. It's a time of, we can't control what other people do with their lives, but we can do as much as we can to control the course of our lives. And if that means other people are going to be left behind, then that's on them. If other people want to stay stuck in the past, they don't want to move forward, that's on them. We can't stay stuck like other people in our lives. Okay, so what we will do now is I will put these cards on screen. These are the Angel Answers cards. So I want for you to intuitively feel and think which questions you should tie to these answer cards. So even if you had certain questions beforehand that you had, they might be different depending on what these cards have as their answers. So that's why I'll have you take a minute here to really connect intuitively with these cards, and you can pause the video if you need more time to feel which questions come to mind, to your intuitive mind when you look at these angel answers cards. But we will start that meditation and connecting process right now. All right, here are the answers for your questions. So, for the first question, the answer is take action. And for the second question, the answer is look for a sign. I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 2B, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. That helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. And you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittany's ASMR. That will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 2B, and take care.